Live from the AFTERBUZZ TV studios and now streaming live on Ustream, this is AFTERBUZZ TV for OWN, the Oprah Recap Show. We'll get you all the latest news and gossip on the show. If you'd like to buzz us, you can call us at 424-256-1729. That's 424-256-1729. And now, picking up where the show leaves off, and the buzz continues, it's AFTERBUZZ TV's OWN, the Oprah Recap Show.
What is happening, everybody? Welcome. Oh my goodness, we are back for another edition of OWN, the Oprah Recap, where here it's all about reaching for your best life. It's all about reaching for your best self. And, you know, in life, we got to remember, if you don't reach for your own life and your best self, people, who else is going to give it to you? So just remember that really quick. We want to take you straight into our words of the day because we have some amazing people in the house. We got some celebrity co-hosts coming in here. We have our amazing co-hosts, and we just want to bring you who's actually in the studio. Stop by, drop by, hop by, whatever you want to say. They all up in here chilling. So really quick, we want to just let you know the words of the day, and what our show is all about is self-belief, exploring self-belief. And our words of the day is you become what you believe. Did you hear what I said, people? Come in closer. You become what you believe, everyone. And that's really what it is at the end of the day. Everything starts with a belief. And if you don't have any belief on anything, if you don't stand for anything, you will basically stand for anything. Did I say that right? I got people chopping in. If you don't have anything you stand for, you'll fall for anything. And let me read you a pretty wise quote that I got from an amazing book of mine. It's give to us clear vision that we may know where to stand and that what to stand for, because unless we stand for something, we will or shall stand for anything. And that's by Peter Marshall. So basically, at the end of the day, have your mind fixed on something. Don't just go and believe what someone else said just because you like this person. Have your own beliefs, because your beliefs and your intentions are going to be what takes you to the next level, people. So remember that our words of the day is you become what you believe. So ask yourself this question, folks. What do you believe? What do you believe? All right. So real quick, for no further ado, I just want to bring you into the house some amazing people that I have in here, and you will be seeing this face consistently. We want to bring, for again, no further ado, we have my beautiful and most talented co-host. We have Miss Holifield. Miss Holifield, what's going on, sugar?
Oh, I'm just so excited to be here. It's just really crazy because I remember 2 weeks ago when we were sitting down talking about this show and the idea for it, and now we're here. I'm just so excited just because I just love to give back. And I really love hearing what you have to say about things too. So I
appreciate that. So and likewise, I definitely appreciate that. And then also we want to make sure that we have in the house too that keeps us beautiful, always keeps us looking amazing, and our voice sounding the way it needs to. We have my boy, my homie, my friend. We got DJ Jesse. What's up in the booth, buddy? How you doing?
AFTERBUZZ Jesse in
What's
the house.
poppin', y'all?
Hey,
Jesse, man, you feeling all right over there, bro?
I'm just dandy.
I know, we pulling it in. We making these times work, man. If it wasn't for you, there'd be no me.
I'm ready to learn about what Oprah was talking about today.
Yes, we gonna get into that. And without no further ado, we want to make sure that we bring in a very special guest that we have in the house. And I told all my Twitters and all my Facebookers and all my fans, all my people, that we have an amazing guest in the house today. We have actor, model, we have celebrity co-host in the house. We have Will Lemay. What's happening, brother?
What's up? What's popping? How's everybody doing?
Everything is going good, man. Thank you for coming in the house and joining the show, man. Wait, where you come from? What's going on with you right now? How you been?
Just living, man. I'm here. Look, touching myself, man, pinching myself.
Touching yourself, like, you know. Well,
not really touching myself, but.
Hey, Look, don't be touching yourself.
Moving along.
Pinching myself.
Well, let me tell you this, brother. I want to just say, I know I complimented you on that jacket when you walked in. The coloroid thing is definitely in the thin line, and I tell you that jacket is fresh, so don't put it down because I got a pair of pants that will go perfectly with that. Okay, so without no further ado, we want to take you straight into pretty much what we talk about here. And of course, at the YNR Recap, it's all about owning your best life, and it's all about taking Oprah recaps from life classes and visionary leaders and creative minds and Soul Sundays and even, master classes, whatever is inspirational, whatever is uplifting, and actually being able to bring it here to re-give it to you, to our audience, and, in a different way to where, we can just break down and really sit and get into the meat of things. So really quick, we are exploring self-belief in today's topic, and self-belief is, like we said, again, it's all about where you believe, what you believe in. And the belief process works in several different areas. It can be what you believe in your careers. It can be what you believe in your life principles, how you believe in your family, what you believe in just taking care of yourself and your mind. I heard a wise man's belief. He believed that you should not educate yourself. You should not have more money invested inside of your closet than you do inside of your mind and the books that you invest into your education.
Absolutely.
Why? Because without a healthy mind, without that education, you can't take care of yourself. You can't take care of anyone else. You can't feed yourself. You can't, have a productive career. All the things that you can't have a healthy belief system if you don't have any education to know what to believe in and if this is the right thing. Mm-hmm. So I wanted to be able to throw certain things out in this particular scenario. We're going to also hit on Jim Carrey's beliefs, and also Oprah will be throwing those mixed in. But I want to throw out to you really quick, Amber, and also to you, Will, but Amber first, and your beliefs. What do you believe?
Well, I really believe that it is what you believe. It is what it is. Whatever you believe.
It is what it is.
It is. Like, if you believe, whatever you believe about yourself, like if you believe you're stupid, then that's going to show, because you're going to have thoughts that are coming into your mind that are going to confirm that.
That's true.
Or if you believe that, like, say, for instance, if I believe that, if I was a guy, of course, and I believed I was going to go to the NBA.
Right.
If I really believed I'm going to go to the NBA, guess what? I'm going to the NBA.
That's right.
Period. I'm not going to try to go to the NBA, or I'm not going to hope that I'm going to the NBA. So I really believe ultimately it's what you were installed with, actually. From growing up when you were a child to what your family has taught you, to what your friends tell you, just pretty much what you observe, what you absorb is what you believe.
That's a good point. I'm reading a quote here that says your actions and your energy brought you here based on your beliefs. So basically, we're here. We're all here at the AFTERBUZZ studio, everybody. So our actions and our belief for whatever that was, no matter whatever the universe put in together to be able to bring us all here at this particular moment, we are now here. So I want to throw a question out to Will, because he's touching himself. I want to know where that feeling comes from. Like, how do you feel your actions and energy, a person's action and energy, can bring them to a certain destination?
Well, it can, brought me where I am, but then again, at the same time, I like to keep a balance.
Right.
It's a fine line.
Definitely.
I like to stay in the 0 point, if you would. So
0 point.
What feels good.
You want to believe, but you don't want to
do too much.
fantasize.
Right.
That is a good point.
Okay.
That is a good point.
That's awesome.
That is a good point, because a lot of people have a belief, and sometimes that belief can take them out of the reality of where they are, and a belief is important to move you forward. However, we still have to say, stay on planet Earth.
Right.
In some senses.
Right.
But that's a thin line.
It is.
That's a thin line in that space, because most of the people that are our pioneers that have actually obtained anything in life thought outside the box. They thought crazy.
I think it's important to believe in which that is truly attainable.
Right. To you. But you won't even know, though, unless you even overstep that boundary. Because
That's
if you
true.
don't believe you'll do it, then you won't even try to do it.
Push your limits, but you have to know
what your limits are.
You got to know your limits. Let me use an example that was from life class that Oprah used with Jim Carrey. For instance, before he got started, of course, he's such an amazing comedian.
Right.
However, what he used to do was he wrote out $1 million check. And for years, he used to put this $1 million check inside of his wallet. He would see the check, he would look at it, he would claim it, he would believe that he had the right to be able to have this particular amount of money. He had the check for so long, it started raggedy. It was raggedy and ripping and all those particular things. He also used to go to like Mulholland Drive and look over the city and say, one day I'm going to be this great actor. He used to confess and put certain things out there to bring into the universe. So I guess more in bringing this question is, how important is your confession attached to your belief? In your opinion, Amber, how important is confessing your belief in the universe? Is that an important phase, do you believe?
Well, yeah, I think that's a very important phase. Just you. That's a part of you believing.
That's true.
Like, if I didn't believe something and I'm just talking about it, then that's one thing. But if I really believe it, I'm going to say it. I'm going to talk about it to you, to whoever needs to be talked about to. Or, I mean, I'm just going to tell strangers because I believe this. It doesn't really matter what you think or what you believe. Right. I believe it. And I think it's extremely important because words are power.
That is true.
Period. Whatever you say, every word that comes out of your mouth is power.
It is a
harvest. Power to create or destroy.
That is
true.
So
you want to be creating things that you like, having positive beliefs or not self-limiting beliefs, because you're going to actually create that for yourself, whatever it is.
That is definitely very, very true. Now, you had mentioned something a little bit earlier about, past beliefs. What they call those sometimes are shadow beliefs, meaning those are things that are kind of in your shadow that you've heard. Some people have the stereotype of their parents was calling them, girl, you so stupid. Are you worrisome? Are you bad? They had beliefs that were instilled in them before they even knew what to believe. You know what I'm saying? This type of belief, which is called, again, shadow beliefs. How do you, in your opinion, or do you, how do you get over those type of beliefs as you move forward in life?
Well, you know what actually creates a belief, in my opinion, is repetitive thoughts.
That's right.
So if there's something that you're thinking consistently on a regular basis, then that becomes your belief.
That's right.
So if you have a self-limiting belief, like maybe, I'm not good enough, then you switch it around. Look in the mirror, tell yourself, look, I love you and I know I'm good enough. And I'm going to make this happen, period. And the more you say it, the more you'll believe it.
That's true.
Because that's what the power of your words can do. Especially if you just put those words out there. You know what I mean?
Those words.
And that's just pretty much, that's it.
and that's such a good point. And again, I know you've been bringing up a lot of great things, Ms. Holifield, as well, with the power of words, because each word is a seed container that, again, depending on how you feel about it or the energy that we attach to
That's the most important part.
It does create our universe, and it creates each one of our universes every day. And the magic thing is that synergy that comes together. And again, it's that belief in something. How many times have you saw people see other folks that have great things, or they have the right cars, or they have all these things, and they say, man, that show is nice, but I never be able to have that.
That's the difference. And believing like, oh, I'm gonna have a car like that one day, or I'm gonna have a house just like that, versus dang, I wish I could live in a house like that. You could.
I think the bigger thing, to me, it's like, to me, the only evil that resides in the world is resistance.
Yes.
Good point.
Yes,
Great point. Resistance. You're right. You're absolutely right.
And that's really the only thing that can hinder you and me and everyone out there. Like, you got to wake up in the morning and do your best to defeat resistance.
Right, because that'll stop you from taking the action.
The art of allowing.
The run you're going to do, or interview, or the things on your to-do list.
Right, that resistance will hop right in there and tell you, you don't really need to do it,
right?
Or don't do that.
I know we were talking about that the other day about, like, it's so much easier to be able to put it off until later on, until tomorrow, or to something else of that nature, instead of having the belief in knowing or putting that way of thinking in you that you're going to get past the resistance, allowing yourself to be able to move forward. But again, a lot of this comes with the education. End of the day, if we don't know, if we haven't educated ourselves on how to, life is a series of decisions at the end of the day. And if we haven't educated ourselves enough on how to make educated decisions, then what we bring in, like we said in the quote of the day, if you don't have any particular thing that you do stand for, because you know what to stand for, you'll be able to fall for anything. It's why you have, countries killing each other. And I read this one quote and it made so much sense. It was like, it was actually a Chinese, I think a Chinese proverb or something along those lines, where it says, a tree a tree comes together and it forms branches, but yet those branches, it's smart enough not to have the branches fighting against each other, you know, in that particular sense. So even down to nature, even down to the core of things, it was built on flowing, allowing, free from a resistance. Everything actually happens in the rest period, in the allowing things to happen. But again, it comes from educating yourself enough to know I can resist, I can allow, I can move through this, you know.
Well, yesterday when you came to the bar and you saw the fight, it was interesting because the guy who won, John Jones, in the post conference, all that, you know, he kept reiterating the fact what we're talking about right now, because he's a young champion. He's like 24. He had like 4 fights this year. He defended his belt twice.
Wow.
He's running through people. He's on a roll right now. So he's got a lot of momentum behind him right now. So he's saying that, man, what this year taught me was that goals need to be set.
That's right.
And they can be achieved if you work hard.
That is true. That is true. And that's one thing that even Muhammad Ali, even bold statements, you have to declare the end, the winning in the beginning. You have to know. That's where I guess to count up the, you know, sit down, calculate the cost. When you're about to build, when you're about to go into anything, it tells you to first sit down. Sit down. I ain't saying the old school. Right. Sit down, calculate the cost, see what's going on, because within that calculation, within that thinking period, you're able to predict, you're able to say, you're able to allow new ideas to come in, you're able to get that belief up, you're able to get that confidence up to know where you're going, where you're going, and to be able to have a direction now that, and then that belief is going to be what fuels you. Because let me tell you something, you can believe something, and as soon as you start using the word usage and putting it out and creating things, there's going to be all kind of adversity to come in to test your beliefs. So I guess my question that's going to go out to you, Will, was when is a time in your life that you were going through something, you know, and you had this belief, but what you believed didn't seem like it could actually happen in reality?
I don't think I ever thought anything, like I thought everything was attainable.
Okay, all right.
Because I never, like I always stayed in that 0 point realistic.
I like that. 0 point. I want you to go into that and explain what you mean when you say the 0 point.
It's like, okay, they have a saying that says you should go with the flow, right? And I say you should flow with the go. You know? Because life moves like, it's like an ocean. You got to be like water, like Bruce Lee. You know what I mean? Get ready to just take on the shape of you know, what you need. Yeah, situation. And you need to stay in that, whether you become rich, if you're poor, whether you're trying to achieve goals or have achieved them, you can't let life get to your head.
Because it will. If you let it.
That is very true. So I like the way that you actually put that. So I'm gonna throw this question too over there to you, Amber. Again, and just and when in a time that, you know, you had a belief in something was supposed to take place and you knew it, and then I'll even switch a little bit, that last minute things changed and you had to keep that first thought in mind, that even though it might look different now, I still believe that it's gonna get right.
Oh, that reminds me. Okay, you guys ready?
We're ready.
So about 5 years ago,
oh wow, she took us back.
I'm gonna take you guys all the way back.
All right.
I was living in Atlanta, and I really wanted to get back to LA. Like, this is my home.
You didn't like it out there?
No, I loved it, but I just wanted to come home.
Yeah, no place like home.
Right.
Home.
I hadn't been home since I was 12.
Oh wow.
Right. So I wanted to come home, and I fixed my situation up to where, you know, I had money saved in the bank. I had my plane ticket ready, you know, and I was just ready to go. Okay. And people didn't want me to go.
Wow.
But I believed I'm gonna go to LA. Period. And hopefully this story really goes into what you're asking.
If we don't, we'll twerk it and make it work.
So anyway, I knew I was gonna come to LA. I was at work one day, and I was a waitress at Applebee's.
Oh, I worked at Applebee's. I was a waitress at Applebee's, a waiter, not a waitress.
Right, no, not a waitress.
Hall pass.
Right, exactly.
So no, I was walking by this table or whatever, and for some reason, I just started talking to the people that were at the table. And it was a gentleman and a lady. And I was just like so excited. You know, I'm going to LA, woo, you know, back home. I can't wait. And the guy's like, no, you shouldn't go.
What?
Like, right, that's what I said. I'm like, do I know you?
Like, excuse me?
I think he might have had a crush.
Right, excuse
No,
me?
well, apparently he said he was a minister. Well, his wife was like, he's a minister, honey. And I don't know why, but he always knows. And I was just like, I mean, it kind of moved me a little bit.
Right.
You know, I was like, well, he's a minister and maybe he's right, but I'm going to go. Whatever, I already got it in my mind. I'm going. So, and then I must have made a mistake. And I said, the power of words. I said, the only thing that's going to stop me from going to LA is if I get locked up. Exactly. So
the lights was on you.
What had happened was I ended up getting locked up, guys. I went to jail. Me, Miss Holifield.
Miss Holifield
was behind bars.
Oh my goodness. So
it was great. So anyway, I mean, interestingly enough, it wasn't such a bad experience because I was able to really like affect people just by my energy. Because anyway, long story short, I ended up not going to LA when I wanted to because, you know, I mean, I believed it so much. I ended up going anyway. But
you had to stay persistent on your dream no matter what. Because obviously you got here, even if it's 5 years later.
I got here. No, I mean, after I got out of jail, which was 3 months later.
Dang.
That's a whole nother topic.
That's a whole nother show. Day.
Right. I'm not a criminal, guys. Just know that. I wasn't breaking into anyone's house.
You just telling a story. And that's important to be able to tell how you, but it's about
keeping it real.
Staying in the game, and you're still here and you stayed in the game, and that's really what it's about at the end of the day.
As soon as I got out of jail,
only the strong will survive.
As soon as I got out of jail, I got to LA.
You got to LA, so you had to keep that belief in place.
But I thought, I mean, for a second, like when I got locked, well, first when he told me that, I was like, dang, you know, like why is he saying that? Like he doesn't even know me. And then I was like, but I'm gonna go anyway. Forget it. And then I get locked up, and I'm like, oh, okay, well, there goes the money that I had saved up.
So crazy. So I guess one of my things that I want to know was also faith. You know, a lot of times in our belief, a lot of people connect belief and faith together because faith is also a substance that we have to be able to hold on to when we're going through times, these unique times, great times, staying where we are on top of the game, etc. So I would like to know, of course, we always say faith without works is dead. So in your opinion, how has your belief in whatever faith that you have, how has that been able to keep you in the game?
Well, I would say that some people might be born with a stronger sense of spirituality. I was born with a very strong spirit,
Very strong spirit.
Yeah.
That spirit.
That spirit.
I always try to stay connected to, the unknown and God and mysteries and everything. Like, just because, that's pretty humbling,
So, yes, definitely. So, faith, the size of a mustard seed. That's all that we need. We need to have a faith in the size of a mustard seed. So if you have the confidence, and of course confidence comes at something that you've been doing over a period of time. Again, we wouldn't have confidence in that chair if you didn't sit in chairs for your whole life. So now you believe that when you sit in that chair, it's going to work. So I want to also talk about the believe and the faith and the believe. A lot of times we got to do the difference between believing and believed. Because when we start adding faith inside of a situation, if, like Muhammad Ali, if we're supposed to call the end in the beginning, and we're supposed to claim the victory in the beginning, the victory that's supposed to be at the end, how important in your mind is the difference, Amber, between the word believe and believed when it applies to your faith in something?
You mean like believed, ED, with like past tense?
Past tense and believing.
Like you used to believe something and now you don't?
Well, I'll give you this example.
Okay.
There's a lot of folks out here that were believing for a healing or believing for something and it never happened. There's a lot of people that die away from here believing for things and it doesn't happen.
I I want to say they didn't really believe.
That's what I'm saying. Is it believing or is it believed? Because when you know that you know and you stand for something, you already know it's gonna happen. Like you said, I don't think about is it not going to happen.
Right,
Once I have it in my mind, it is already in existence.
Well, I must concur. I do think about it not happening.
You do think about it's not happening.
To me, I'm always running through things not working out so that you're prepared. You know what I mean?
More
Like you
so
need to
than
be
you
prepared.
are is thinking about them working out.
Yeah, same, equal that 0 point, because you need to be ready and just go through different scenarios.
That's true. Now, let me ask you this question. Do you think it could be a trick, a wording trick, to have certain words like it's too good to be true or nothing happens overnight? Because there's a lot of things that are really great that are true. And there are things that happen overnight. But do you think sometimes when we look for the worst and we prepare for the worst, you know, instead of putting that energy in towards the best, do you think you can create that to get it?
Well, I don't think anything happens overnight. And if, in fact, it does, life will kick your ass afterwards. Okay? No one gets a free ride. No one gets a free ride. No one.
Right, because you can win $1 million overnight, but what you do with that money is really what it is.
I think that goes into the law of attraction, attracting certain things towards your attention, but then also the law of creation, which is being able to take what is attracted to you and do something with it. Yes, opportunity, you may get the deal, you may sign the contract overnight, you may get the job overnight, but now you have to actually do something with it.
You worked hard to get that job.
You worked hard to do that job, but then sometimes you just have the right connection. I mean, in life,
but you already put in lots of work that maybe you didn't get the jobs. So that's the universe way of balancing it out. Like
holding on.
Here's a gimme because you maybe had 100 close calls.
That's true.
I think the point is what you actually do with it, because regardless of what happened in the past, is when you're presented with an opportunity, what do you do with it? Are you ready for it?
You gotta be ready for it. If you're not prepared for the opportunity
Then
when
it will
it
kick you
comes,
in
you're
your
in big
ass.
trouble, because then you'll be exposed and then you're gonna fall.
That is very true. Now, let me ask you this question. How important do you feel the ego is to not only self-confidence, but also to belief in general?
That's a good one, because that's the trick. You know what I mean? Because your ego.
That's that one right there.
Because the ego does trick you. You know what I mean? Like the ego is not really you. It's kind of the guy or girl who thinks they're you, but they're not. You have to keep it in check.
You have to keep it in check.
You have to keep your ego in check.
Let me tell you, there are 6 things. Well, the ego basically is a collection of ideas we carry around with us. So like you said, that guy or that girl on the inside that, think that they are something superior. And there's 6 things that really attach to the ego. The ego is pretty much, I am what I have. The ego is also, I am what I do. The ego also represents I am what I represent, because if we don't have certain things to represent us with, then that's a part of the ego. The ego is also I am separated from everyone else because I'm different. I'm different. The ego separates you from your true self, because a lot of times the ego gets in the way for opportunities and situations, and so sometimes that can separate you from who you really are supposed to be, your ego. And then another thing is an ego, it separates you from God, because the acronym that comes is edging God out, the ego, edging God out. So you separate yourself from the oneness that is in you. So a lot of times, one of the questions that arise from the ego, from that Oprah talked about on Soul Series, is she mentioned, well, if the ego is there, what was the point of it? Like, if it doesn't do us any good, what is the point of necessarily having it?
Right.
I think
I look at it more like it's a fuel. It's like you have fuel in the car, but you still have to steer it and drive it and put gas.
That's a good point of being able to look at it. And I think in the days past, the ego was there for us we needed the ego to create some sort of validation. But I think what happens is usually, and it was such a great quote, usually a lot of times the more you own, usually the more things that own you. And so usually that was what people fall into. They go after, they focus, they try, and they put an attention on this thing. And as they're going and they get these accolades and they accomplish these goals, that starts to become what they're known for. That starts to become them. And so even in the entertainment industry, an ego, or even in a job title, an ego sometimes is thrown on you. I think it's the individual having character. And I guess it goes back down to a principle of character. And character is really going to be, when you're around someone of character, it's going to benefit every person that comes around it.
Period.
It's going to uplift every person that comes around with it, the true uplifting character. And there's really no room for a big ego of these 6 factors edging everything out, including yourself. When you really think about it, there's no place for it in today's time, because we are creative beings. We don't need an ego to be able to sit and create whatever it is that you want, because you made a great comment. We talked about this 2 or 3 weeks ago, and here we are.
Right.
It didn't take an ego necessarily to be able to do that. It took determination, it took motivation, and actually moving forth in the right situation. So I guess what is your thought process to when it comes down to, do you feel that we need an ego? Do you need an ego, or do you have your ego in check? Should I say? That's for both of you.
Well, I mean, I feel like God knows what he's doing. So we don't have the ego for no reason.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? I feel like it could be of some benefit to us if we let it. I mean, me and the ego thing, I just feel like the ego is like not good.
You just feel like it's just not good.
Right. That's one of those subjects I haven't actually delved into.
It can hurt you.
It can.
But it can help you.
It can too. That's the thing. It can have you thinking like so above yourself to where you get knocked back down to what it really is. Or it could have you thinking so above yourself to where you want to get up there, to be up there. And your ego, I don't know, ego is pretty, it's a pretty touchy
It is
subject.
a pretty,
it's like a whole different show.
Yeah, right. But it blends in, because a lot of times the ego can stop us from having a belief and really understanding who we're supposed to be. And that's why I bring it in. But I also want to tap in really quick to what Wayne Dyer, and if everybody knows, Wayne Dyer is like the father of motivation. He's like the father of spirituality when it comes down to, self-help books and really connecting. He went into a principle of Taoism, which is an old Chinese teaching about the way of thinking and maneuvering in the world. And it made so much sense from the way that he interpreted this process. Anytime that we give a label to something, you're Miss Holifield, or you're a wife, or you're an African American, or you're something, then we take away the true essence of who that person really is. And they say that when we're at our greatest form, in the Taoism form, when you're at the greatest form, is you're at your form as an infant, because you're at that point to where you're just allowing. When you're an infant, you're not worried about what's going on. The universe, God, is basically guiding you into where you need to be, what you need to be. You're not focusing on the self. The ego has not created itself yet. Your focus is strictly on oneness. And so just a couple things to go into Taoism that I thought was interesting to put out there was, again, it has no labels. You basically learn how to think like God thinks in that particular way of moving forward. And the way that God thinks is without force. It's giving, it's love. You don't have the sun telling the earth, you owe me. Every day
Right,
you done been around for all these years, little player. I need you to go ahead and pay up. It just is, and the relationship works out the way it's supposed to. And then it was such a creative thing that this main principle is, it says, those who know don't speak, and those who speak don't know. It's about oneness. And when you sit back and you really think about that, a lot of times you don't know what a person knows. You don't know a person is stupid until they actually open their mouth. And then sometimes there is a time to speak, I believe, and then there's a time not to. But I just found that some of these things are interesting. And then you also made a comment about being able to maneuver like water. To be able to go in the mix. And another one that came from the Tao that I thought was very interesting, that I want to read, and it was pretty interesting. It comes from verse, and also this is on the Soul series. It comes from verse 76 in it. It says, when you're born, you're gentle and weak. At birth, you are hard and stiff. All things, including the grass and trees, are soft at life, yet dry and brittle at death. So softness is comparison to life, and stiffness is comparison to death. So you got softness and flexibility compared to life, and then you have stiffness compared to death. And then you want to keep your mind where you can become like water. You can become go with the flow, flexible. You about to say something?
Nope.
Oh no! And you look like you gave me emotion, like you're about to say something. So I guess one thing that I want to be able to throw out to you, Will, is with hearing these particular situations, when even going into, and we're going to be taking you into, after the next commercial, we're going to go straight into asking a couple questions about you, and then we're going to get this wrapped up. When have you needed to be like water, basically, in your career in general? Like, you're in the entertainment industry. When did you have to be able to know to go with the flow to get where you had to go on an incident that you can bring up?
Well, just really every moment of my life is like that.
Oh, wow.
Yeah, I mean, every day, like, if it's just making music or going for a run or going on an audition or a casting, that's the mind frame 100% of the time.
Keeping it in the right mind before you even start.
It stays with the ego, like it's calming that down.
Okay, cool. So really quick, everybody, we want to take you straight into our first commercial plug, everyone. We want to just let you know that you can definitely check us out on iTunes. Definitely hit us up on iTunes. Search AfterBuzz TV. You want to hit the Oprah Recap, everybody. We appreciate you. We love everyone tuning in. Last week we had an amazing show. So definitely make sure you check us out this week on the iTunes search, AfterBuzz TV. Also, you can also get the recaps of this show on LOV923.com. Go to the radio station, everybody, and click on the right far left-hand side for the AfterBuzz TV recaps. Click on OWN. Well, I didn't say OWN. Love923.com. You can check out the recaps of this show and the other shows that we have going on as well. And then as well, if you are, checking out life classes, which I know all of you are, Visionary Leaders, Soul Sundays, go to your local provider. Channel 219 is usually where it hits at, but then you can also go to the Oprah.com/own website, where you can also check out life classes, all the different lessons that they have going on there. Soul Sundays, you definitely really, really love that you did. It's amazing information on there, and also other shows that you'll be able to have on the recap. So, as we always do, we're going to bring you straight back into the interviewing portion, because we have our amazing guest in the house, of course, and we want to go into just a couple of things to get to know what has he been doing, where has he been, and kind of what's going on right now. So when we come back, we're going to take you to another quick commercial plug really fast. We're going to come back and we're going to go straight into our interviewing section. Again, this is the Oprah Recap. I'm your host, Brookshire. We got Miss Holifield in the house, Will Lemay, and my boy Jesse. We'll be right back in 1 second, everybody.
AfterBuzz TV. Hi, I was once like you, a lazy, angry loner whose only joy was watching TV and surfing the net. And like you, after I'd see one of my favorite TV shows, I'd be so excited and have so many questions that I'd actually have to talk to my douchebag coworkers about it at the water cooler. Then I discovered AfterBuzzTV.com. AfterBuzz TV produces after-show webcasts and podcasts for TV series of all kinds, like post-game wrap-up shows for all your favorite TV shows. AfterBuzz TV hosts are industry insiders who break down episodes of shows, take calls from fans, and interview cast and crew from each series, with over 60 different after shows, from Boardwalk Empire to American Idol to Vampire Diaries to Real Housewives, and more. Now, after a night of TV, I can ignore my stupid coworkers, who I hate, and go straight to my desk and watch or listen to all my favorite AfterBuzz TV after shows, and have all the TV fan interaction I need. Thank you, AfterBuzz TV.
AfterBuzz TV. What do you want to buzz about?
What's going on?
Accident in the studio.
Everybody, we got all kind of things happening in the AfterBuzz studio, which are all good because everybody is on point people. Hey, we're back. We are so back, and this is OWN, the Oprah Recap Show, and it's all about making sure that we go after our best life. We live our best life here. And in the studio, we still have none other than the beautiful and talented and educated Miss Holifield in the his house.
Thank you.
We still got my good friend and making this all happen over here in the ones and twos in the booth. We got DJ Jesse. I said Jesse.
Jesse.
He knows what you mean.
And then, still in the house, we want to just always give you the thanks for stopping in. We got celebrity co-host in the house, model, actor, Mr.
pleasure.
Will Lemay. What's going on, brother?
Pleasure's mine.
So we're going to focus all the attention on you for this
Bring it.
next segment. We're going to ask you a few questions just to get in the meat of things and just fill you out a little bit. So real quick, I just want to know really fast, in your opinion, you're in the industry. Recently, I know I saw you in Jump in the Broom in the beginning portions of things, and I was like, God, that guy looks familiar. Even when I seen it there, I was like, I know that guy. What about this industry? Because you're in the acting industry, in the modeling industry. How did you get into the shift? Because, a lot of models want to get into the acting thing, and the acting want to get into the modeling thing. But to be able to really hold down both, how does that work for you?
No, man, it ain't easy.
Pimpin' ain't easy.
I think all the models want to act, It's just something they want to do. And with me, I wanted the same thing, but not because I wanted to be famous. Of course, I want to be rich. Everyone want to be rich.
Yeah, right.
But, it wasn't for the fame, man. I just thought, I can do this. You know
Right.
what I mean, I got this,
Well, what was the hardest thing for you?
Well, the thing was with that, with the Jump in the Broom, man, remember we were saying earlier how, like, you try your ass off, and then all of a sudden nothing happened, and then something happens. And,
Right.
And, with that process, it was, I got lucky, but it wasn't really luck in my eyes because I tried so hard before to get, in fact, I had got some good acting jobs that were canceled. Like, I got this show on Fox as a lead character.
Sucks.
And it got canceled, and I was real close to doing the first Sex and the City movie. It was between me and two other guys.
Oh, wow.
So it was a couple of close calls, and then ultimately that had discouraged me. And I said, forget about this acting thing because,
Wow.
yeah, I
I
said,
didn't get the role.
no, not just the role. It's just, there's a lot of pressure going out
Right.
for these things when you have to memorize the lines, and then if you do a good job, they say, well, we're gonna come back, in a couple of days. So you still got that pressure, like, oh,
Did I get it?
you can't party or do whatever,
Right.
like I gotta stay focused on this, and then they might have you back a third time, and then you're still focused on the material and trying to nail it, and you're nervous because you want to get it, and then they don't even tell you no.
They don't say nothing to
let
you,
you go
actually,
back home.
sometimes.
It just all of a sudden it's just like, so yeah, I heard someone else got it. You're like,
You will hear about us.
Yeah, that
you'll
would
see
be
the movie.
irritating.
Right,
You weren't
right.
in it. But,
Wow. So, I just, because, that was such a box office. I saw the movie and I thought it was a very well put together.
Yeah, it was
So
a good
many
movie.
people have so many things to say sometimes when it comes down to, African American films and films that
was
have
a
a
good
lot of
one.
cover. But yeah, this actually was put together very, very well. Take me back to, auditions. You're waiting, because I know you got the waiting process. Take me back to the moment when you found out, like, that you were going to get this. Who was the first person you called? What happened?
it was just so quick that ultimately I just found myself flying to Canada.
Oh, wow.
They were filming it in Nova Scotia, and I'm from Canada. I'd never been to these parts. So.
He's like, I ain't been to these woods. Yeah.
Yeah. It was cool. I just went in. It was my first scene. I've done videos and hosting, which is different. You know what I mean? Like it's completely different. And this scene was my first scene ever. I was nervous. You know what I mean? So I went in and messed up my lines on the first run through. So I mean, wouldn't. And then I was just like, dang, that kind of got in my head a bit, like, oh, for real. Because the thing that made it worse, I felt more pressure because it was the last day of shooting.
Oh, so they'd already been shooting.
Like, let's go, man. Let's get it done.
right.
So I was like, oh, damn, all right. So everyone's kind of looking at me like, hurry up, So
Wow.
I was like, all right, we gotta do this. And I never even got to see playback, so I didn't really know how it was coming off on the scene and all that. But they're like, we got it, and I'm like, for real, you sure?
Right, you got that? That
I was just
editing.
getting warmed up, you know what I mean?
Right. So now they actually filmed the very first scene the last day.
Yeah.
Okay, so you basically they had the whole movie shot and then decided to
They're
put
like, we
this.
need this guy. We don't know who. And then my friend from Canada actually put me on to that.
Awesome.
That is.
But
That's
to
dope.
me, that's like favor. I look at that like in the favor round because the whole movie's filmed and then all of a sudden they have a spot for you to come in that starts the movie.
Well, the
Also,
best
you
thing
reap
is
what
I
you
got the
sow.
trailer. And not the first scene of the trailer, I was really thankful for that. You know?
Right, and you ain't get cut because a lot of times they'll film a lot of
Yeah.
stuff and then they won't even put it in the scene because they say we don't need it. You know, but that part I guess was important because it led up and just showed her history of men, you know, but just falling for the pretty guy, you know, I don't know if you like being called a pretty boy or anything like that, but in the movie
sure
you were the
he's
pretty
straight.
guy that just she fell for that. You know, was the wrong thing. She was looking for more quality and not just the good look. She was looking for the good look and the quality to come along with it.
She made the wrong decision.
He said, nah, that wasn't me. And you showed her quickly, even on the film that you showed her. So now you also were doing some modeling. Now, I know from reading your bio, you started off in your hometown with doing a little bit. It didn't work out the way that you wanted it to work out. You got into Ford. Most people think that that's the dream come true. And then you switched to, what was it?
Boss from
Boss.
there? Yeah.
Boss Model. I used to know a couple people and agents that used to work there. Tell me about that, because most people usually don't go from Ford to Boss. That was a great business decision that you said worked out. How did that work for you mentally? How did you get through it?
Well, I wasn't working much, and I owed a lot of money. And I was thinking, damn, if I make money, it's not coming to me. It's coming to them. And people were gassing me up, like, you could make some money, so why don't you just hop on over there since you're not working much over here. And ultimately, I was like, damn, I need some dough, you know? So...
So and then it just ended up working out. So now was it an easy process to go from Ford, or was I'm sure if you come from Ford to Boss that
I
they'll
still love Ford. I mean, like the head booker over there, Rita. I mean, I don't think she likes me, but you know, I would go back with them. I just left New York Models, who I was with for like 8 years, right after Boss.
Oh, okay.
Just because I'm living here and I didn't really need them anymore, and it was more money coming out of my pocket per month than anything. So ultimately, I would like to get another agency in New York, and I would like to be with Ford again because I think, you know, it's a good fit now that I'm, you know, more consistent and mature. And
That you make a good point when you say maturity, because I mean you've been in this game for a long time. When did you feel that it actually? Because let me just say this. I know a lot of folks that once they get in the game at a younger ages, it's not until they're usually in their mid to late 20s that it really starts popping off, that they got the resume, they got the confidence, they got the belief in themselves. Do you feel that that's a true factor from the people you've encountered and in your career in general, that's a track record for this type of industry, the modeling at least? Later on that it comes, you still look good, you might be 28, but yet you look 24.
not for the girls, though.
Not for the for guys,
Yeah,
I guess, right?
For the girls,
I guess that would suck for them, right?
Yeah.
For the guys too, though, because, you know, once you get that age, you start liking food a little bit more. It's harder to get up and go work out hard. You're damn focused when you're in your early 20s, and it's hard to really equal or beat that kind of focus that you had.
Wow.
But I'm happy to say I'm doing a good job.
You doing a good?
In fact, that movie, when I saw my body in the movie, I never really seen
You
my
were
body.
like, what?
You were impressed with yourself?
No. I was very unimpressed.
You were very
you were
unimpressed.
like,
So I was like, boom. Like, I mean, that just taught me a lesson, and, you know, I'm happy to report that
You did something about it.
things are looking a little
up.
better.
Alive. Okay. All right.
We won't let that happen again.
Definitely. So really quick, what I want to go into was something that we know for sure. One thing that you know for sure. And I'm going to throw this actually at both of you, and with the belief in everything that we talked about today. In your mind, if there was one thing that you know for sure, Will Lemay, that you can throw back out there to our fans and to the people
They
listening.
might not like this answer.
They'll love it, trust me.
Something more positive that you know for sure dealing in the areas of belief and how it affects your career. What would you say?
Oh, this is okay. I'm going to try and put
Let
the
me help
positive
you.
spin on it.
Let me help you.
Here's what it is. The one thing that is for sure in life is death. Now let me just. Now that should,
bring us
in
back.
of itself,
He said, "Bring
should
it
be enough to drive you
That is
to do better in life and to be your best while you're here, because you never know when you're gonna go.
But you
Right.
do know.
So you do know that, and that's the one guarantee that life does promise: life and death. So while you are here, make the most of it. Don't sit in your room and jerk off.
Oh, wow.
AfterBuzz TV exclusive.
Yes, and that was definitely an exclusive because too much hand time is not what you need to be doing. Put them hands on the computer
Oh my gosh.
and
Moving
in
right
action.
along.
Miss Holifield, if there was something, if one thing that you know for sure, what would it be?
Well, one thing I know for sure that if you really want something, you'll get it.
That is true.
That's pretty much it. Like, if there's something that you really want, or that's something that you really feel like you can do, or really believe that you can do or be, it will happen, period. Not if you think you're going to be.
If it's realistic.
If
Right.
If it's
plenty
realistic.
Plenty of honeys
Right.
out there I said no to.
Right.
I mean, well, obviously,
Right,
it has to be realistic.
Be realistic,
Be
baby.
realistic,
Be
like-
realistic.
It's always the unrealistic ones coming to try to get the real
Is that the ego
ones.
talking right there? I
That
don't
might
know.
be the ego edging from self.
Bounce
Right.
out.
Right, right. When you're coming directly from self, like when you
Right.
go in your heart and like you know this is real. Like if you, like say for instance, if you think that you're gonna have this affair with Snoop Dogg or somebody, like you know that might not be realistic.
It might not be, but you never know. I've learned that once you get in a new bracket, in a new scene, you never, well, not necessarily Snoop, I wouldn't say.
That's what
but
I'm saying. He's all.
You never know
Maybe
how.
I
Probably get some Snoop.
It's
You
a
probably
long,
get some Snoop.
right? You know, you probably get some
no.
Snoop or different things. You never
I'm
know.
not talking about me, guys.
But real quick, we just want to throw out one thing that Oprah had to say on one thing that she knew for sure when it comes down to dealing with belief, and that is that you don't always become what you want. And most of the time in life, you don't always get what you want.
No.
Pretty much. You don't always
Not when you
become
want
what
it.
you want,
Right.
and you don't always get what you want most of the time in life. However, what you do get when it comes down to any obstacles, all it
Drum
takes was
roll.
a little piece of faith. As small as a mustard seed to be able to get you through. So that's what she feels that she says. One thing that she knows that no matter what takes place, if you have faith the size of a mustard seed, and a mustard seed is like a little grain of pepper that builds one of the biggest crops when you
Right.
plant it in all of the other crops out there. So if you have just that much faith, that difference between want and have, and or that difference between asking and receiving, that is what will bring you into that receiving point of view. So everybody, really quick, that was our show on, hey, everything comes to you, and what you know for sure is very important. What is it that you know for sure? What is it that you know for sure? So everybody, this was the Oprah Recaps. I just want to say thank you to my amazing guest, Miss Holifield. We appreciate you. Mr.
Thanks for having
Will
me.
Lemay, thank you, man, for coming in.
My
Where
pleasure.
can the fans find you really quick? Where can we find you real
Always
fast?
on Twitter, Will Lemay. That's
So
it.
Twitter, Will Lemay,
Yeah.
WILLLEMAY.
Yeah.
So at Twitter.
Yep.
Check them out,
.com.
everybody. .com. Miss Holifield, where can we find you at?
You can find me here.
You can
Just find me here, okay?
you can find her. You can find me
At the
here
studio.
At the studio. Again, everybody, make sure you check out love923.com for all the recaps as well, and definitely keep us posted here on the AfterBuzz TV. We are, of course, I'm your host, Brookshire. We love you. Remember, where the mind goes, the body follows. Stay tuned to us for next Sunday in the house. Sunday at 4:15, we will be back with some amazing talks and interviews from around the world and amazing celebrities. Again, keep your minds right, your bodies tight. This is your boy Brookshire. We are signing off for next time. Take care, everybody, and peace out.
From producers Kevin Undergaro and Phil Svitek, engineer DJ Jesse Janity, and the entire AfterBuzz TV staff, we would like to thank you for listening to the AfterBuzz TV network. If you have questions or comments, be sure to buzz us at info@AfterBuzzTV.com. And you can find us on Facebook or follow us on Twitter by searching for AfterBuzz TV.
Buzz you later!
The views expressed herein are those of the hosts only and do not necessarily reflect the views of AfterBuzz TV or its owners or principals.